On a cold, snowy December night in 1776, George Washington and his Continental Army began the day-long process of crossing the Delaware River. This was part of a strategy that gave Washington and his men the element of surprise when they attacked the Hessian forces who were in Trenton, New Jersey. The Hessian were German auxiliaries who were hired by the British to fight in the Revolutionary War. This historic event took place in Upper Makefield, Bucks County, formerly Taylorsville, and has been memorialized in paintings, state parks, and annual reenactments. The Battle of Trenton was a major turning point in the war, and the story of Washington's crossing has risen to mythic proportions. But you might be surprised to know that many of the soldiers who fought with Washington were of African descent. Approximately 5,000 to 7,000 African American men served in the Continental Army as patriots. Some were free, and some were enslaved, serving in their master's place. Let's meet one of those soldiers now.
Let me tell you how I got to come by this uniform. My name's Black Joe Brown, from Marblehead, Massachusetts. Well, because they call it Marblehead because there's big inclusions in the rocks all around the bay that look like big marbles. So they call it Marblehead. Not far from Salem. You know, Salem, Massachusetts, where they had the witch trials, right down the road.
Joe served with Colonel Glover. Washington originally wanted an all-white fighting force, but he changed his mind, and when Washington needed men, recruited Colonel Glover's Marbleheaders.
Washington come to us and said, listen, just one more try. Just one more try. We could turn this thing around. We're gonna hit them Hessians where they least expect it. We're gonna cross the Delaware River and hit them on Christmas Day. So Washington broke his army up into 3 wings. One was across in Burlington, one was across at Trenton, and the other one crossed at McConkey's Ferry in Bucks County. And he was with that wing. The other 2 wings couldn't get across. The river was too bad, but they didn't have no Marbleheaders with them. So we were able to take them across at McConkey's Ferry. How you like that? Icebergs in a river. Snowing and sleeting and nor'east storm. But I tell you what, it don't matter what color you are when you're holding a rope in a storm. So nobody was worried about whether you was black, nor white, nor Indian. We was all working together to get that job done. And the Marbleheaders, we got the army across the river. Between 6,000 men, and then we marched to Trenton. Middle of the night, middle of a storm. It was cold. And I'll tell you what, the last thing them Hessians thought would happen was this army show up on their doorstep on Christmas Day, and we got them. Yes, sir, we captured 900 of them. Yes, sir, and lost only 3 men ourselves. We killed their colonel and went right back into Pennsylvania. Right there in Bucks. Yeah, we fought for our freedom. It wasn't given to us. We had to fight for it. And it didn't matter who you was or where you was from by that point in the war. So you got freedom today because we paid for it with our blood. Behave yourself.
In 1775, the British promised slaves freedom if they fought for the Loyalists. Approximately 20,000 fought on the Loyalist side, and after the war, some were returned to slavery, while others were taken to London, Nova Scotia, and some went to Sierra Leone, Africa, where they lived free. After the war, some of those who fought in the Continental Army were returned to their slave owners, and others who were born free or freed returned home. While history has not revealed to us that any of the Marbleheaders or black soldiers settled in Bucks County, we are sure that they were with Washington during the crossing and here in Bucks County on that cold December night so long ago. People of color made an important contribution to the founding of the country. Let's meet a soldier who served with Washington and, after the war, settled right across the river.
They call me Oliver Cromwell. Joined up to the New Jersey 3rd Regiment. Served in the Colonial Army. Was there for most of the fighting. I crossed the river with General George Washington. fought at the Battle of Monmouth, stayed in the Army till the whole thing was over. Moved back to Burlington, New Jersey, and when I applied for my pension, applied to my commanding officer, had to give proof that I was there. But none other than George Washington himself penned my pension letter and signed it. In fact, his signature on my pension letter is the only authentic signature of George Washington we have in the state archive here. I lived near 100 years old before I finally passed away. And now they mark my house and my name right there in Burlington. Oliver Cromwell, Black Patriot.